I rarely go into the political realm directly, but today I want to cover something that is related tangentially to the political realm because I have some tangential relationship to it, and because I don't know, it leaves me with a lot of questions, a lot of questions that are both intriguing and disturbing. I want to just throw this out there and see what others might think of it. But of course, part of the story is rather amusing. And the story is that Terry McAuliffe, who was running as a Democrat for the governorship of Virginia, who was the governor in 2017 when the Unite the Right event took place in Charlottesville, and everything that went down in Charlottesville went down. Now, I was there. I was at the Unite the Right rally. I covered it. I was not a participant. I was a spectator. I wanted to just take it all in. I was not expecting things to go down the way that they did. And something that I saw with my own very eyes was the police were there and they did absolutely nothing. They did nothing to prevent the violent Antifa mob from assaulting the event goers with impunity. The police just stood around with their thumbs up their you-know-whats and did nothing. There was no attempt to make it for there to be a barrier formed between, like normally would happen where there's a rally, that's taking place and there's two hostile groups. They try to normally maintain a barrier so that people don't get hurt. That didn't happen. A permit had been gotten for this event to be held. So what was done was purposefully done and with malice aforethought. And Terry McAuliffe, who was then the governor, who was a Clinton crony and a scummy person in just about every way, he helped to engineer this with the mayor of Charlottesville. He helped to put the stand down order in effect and cause chaos and violence to take place so that he could have an excuse to bring in his goon squad, the state militia, or not whatever they were, the guys who were all geared up in their the riot cops, basically the state riot cops who were geared up in their helmets and Kevlar and were armed with pepper spray. And I got pepper sprayed that day. It was a very dramatic scene that was recorded. Unfortunately, you can't see that video anymore because it was all up on my old channel, which was taken down. But in any case, I was there. I saw it. I know what happened. And the reason I'm talking about this now is because Terry McAuliffe just lost in his race to be the governor of Virginia, to become the governor of Virginia again. He was running again. He hadn't been governor. A different Democrat who was just as bad as him, I think, pretty much, had been a governor for the last 4 years. This was the guy who was talking about how partial birth abortion was okay. The baby would be made comfortable before it was killed. This was also the guy who had a history with blackface. That was McAuliffe's Democrat replacement. Well, this year McAuliffe was running against a Republican whose name escapes me right now, and he lost. And Virginia went deep red. The governor, the attorney general, the the state Senate, there was a huge red wave in Virginia, which is fine by me, even though I don't generally get into party politics discussions very often. But I have a serious hate boner, for, you could say, for Terry McAuliffe and for what he did that day. So good to see you go. Get out of here. Don't come back. But that's not the reason why I'm recording this video. You know, I don't just I generally don't find it interesting enough to just record, to just, you know, if I feel a certain way, if I have a certain sentiment, I don't, that's not usually a good enough reason to record a video. What interests me is that Terry McAuliffe apparently, or through some channel or other, in the run-up to the election itself, as the polls were showing he was getting closer, his lead was he was slipping more and more. He was trying ever more desperate means to hold on to his lead. And one of the stunts that he tried was, there was an event where there were like 5 or 6 guys who showed up somewhere wearing all white and carrying tiki torches and acting like white nationalists. And the reason why this was done is because, of course, on the night before the Unite the Right rally happened, Richard Spencer and I don't know who else, I don't know who was in charge of this whole thing, but they came up with this brilliant idea of marching at night, carrying tiki torches and marching through Charlottesville to the UVA campus. And it was fun in a way, in that it incensed all of the liberal lefties, all the censorious types, and that it made them clutch their pearls and scream fascism. But on the other hand, I think the overall cost benefit analysis did much more harm than good, because, you know, these people were photographed carrying tiki torches. These people who just went along on this march. They were, of course, doxxed relentlessly, and the whole thing was set up to fail. And like I said, the next day, violence broke out because of the violent Antifa that instigated everything. But it resulted in a woman dying, getting killed, or maybe having a heart attack. But in any case, there was, you know, the leftoids got all the mileage out of it that they could, and it was all disingenuous because it was all manufactured. Everything that happened because the governor and the mayor and other actors on high engineered this event whereby there was utter chaos, and they didn't care how many people got hurt. That didn't matter to them. They just wanted for things to go badly so that they could score. They wanted things to go badly for the Unite the Right marchers, and for it to end in violence and bloodshed so that they could score political points, and say, oh, you know, we're on the edge of a fascist takeover. You know, the same way that the leftoids waved their bloody shirt over the January 6th event. This was kind of like a preview of that. But so McAuliffe and his cronies did this thing where they got these guys to show up, these young guys to show up, you know, to try to resemble Richard Spencer types, and be white nationalists. The funny thing was, the photographs show that one of these guys is black. So you would think that they'd be able to find, if they were just looking for 6 or 7 tiki torch carrying supposed white nationalists for this false flag that they were engineering, to get the liberals riled up and saying, oh, we better vote for McAuliffe or else fascism's going to take over again, just like in 2017 at Charlottesville. But the thing was, you'd think that they would be able to find people who fit the bill. And yet one of the guys is a black guy. He's a light-skinned black guy, but still very obviously not white. So, oops, I guess. But I just found it very weird or very striking, let's just say. Not exactly weird, but something that called attention to itself, that they would try this callback, this callback to the boo, here's the alt-right, they're fascists, boo. Let's scare you all with this thing. But it kind of made me wonder again, as some of you know, I had an acquaintanceship with Richard Spencer. I wrote articles for the Alternative Right journal in its early days, before it became the thing that it was in 2015, 2016, 2017, when it was really just an alternative to the conventional right. But it was a broad tent of ideas and opinions. And it was generally just a debate society amongst people who had, beliefs and opinions and thoughts about the current state of things that did not really have any place in the conventional political landscape. So anyway, all of this makes me wonder, makes the paranoid side of me, and being paranoid isn't always wrong, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. So this all makes me wonder if this whole tiki torch thing might have been a false flag from the very start, because the downside of it very obviously outweighed any positives that came out of it. I remember thinking that at the time, I know this isn't, maybe this is unfair to think of it this way, but people think of, angry white people carrying torches at night. And obviously that imagery has a lot of baggage, all right? Rightly or wrongly, it doesn't mean that every event which features those kinds of optics, I tend to hate that word, but I just used it. It doesn't mean that every event that features those kinds of visuals is Nazi Germany, but or something similar to that. But it certainly has that flavor to it. So this entire idea that McAuliffe and company thought that it would be a good idea to try to make this callback to the tiki torch white nationalists who marched at night before the Unite the Right rally event was unlawfully scuttled, and violence was fomented, and blood was spilled, and it's blood that's on the hands, as far as I'm concerned, of the Charlottesville PD, of the mayor of Charlottesville, and on the hands of the then governor Terry McAuliffe, who again, thank God, lost in this red tsunami that has swept through Virginia in the last election that took place this past week. But why was this effort made to try to recall this event, these particular visuals, these particular optics, if you want to use that word, and What should that make us feel or wonder about the original use of those optics, of which I had absolutely nothing to do with? By that time, Richard Spencer and I weren't really corresponding anymore. So in any case, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that event was going to go down the night before. I was not in the loop. I was just there, like I said, to more or less take it all in, and it was when my YouTube channel really actually started up, was with the Charlottesville debacle. So I'm curious about that. Why this effort was made to recall this particular thing, and what does that tell us about this thing, this event, this Tiki Torch event that proved to be such a disaster for the so-called alt-right. It was when it marked the occasion when the alt-right, when the term alt-right really started to become used in an entirely derogatory way. Although I guess that had been the case for several months, ever since Trump's election, ever since Hillary Clinton's speech in 2015, when the use of that term took this rhetorical turn. But I just have to wonder, who's all behind this whole setup, and who can we trust, and who might there be some kind of unholy alliance behind between a type of person like Richard Spencer, again, who is a former acquaintance and someone I once kind of thought of as a friend, even though we never met that much. But he was somebody who I corresponded with and recorded podcasts with, but I never really knew him. I liked him and found him charming and so forth, but I never knew him. I still don't know him per se. But inquiring minds think of these things. So, what do y'all think of this effort to dredge up these visuals again on the part of the failed campaign of Terry McAuliffe in Virginia? Let me know what you think. My name's Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com. As you can see, I've still kept that label because I don't run from labels. It's never a good idea. So look up, you can find my fiction and my nonfiction at altrightnovelist.com. Find my latest book, The Insurrectionist, at terrorhousepress.com.